Whew, it is hot out already. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Today's video, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or the title, is about the DNT Optics Hydra HS225 thermal. So I just want to start off by thanking DNT Optics for sending this out to the channel. This was sent as a 30-day T&E optic, so this is going back to DNT at the end of this video, or 30 days, whatever is first. They just gave me a few things they wanted me to touch on in the video, but other than that, all opinions and whatnot is all mine. So I will be referencing my notes here and there in the video so I can get the correct specifications out to you guys. You can always check DNT Optics websites for the full specifications on this or their other models that they have. So let's just go through some of the specs quick and then we'll go through my experience. So this thermal optic, the DNT Hydra HS225. This is a 3-in-1 optic. This can be used as a handheld, which is kind of how I have it set up right now, other than the mount being on it. So you can kind of look at it, look through, survey the terrain. It can be used as a scope that does have reticles. You can zero it, different reticles, different colors of the reticles if you want, or it can be used as clip-on mode. So clip-on mode, I actually had to research this myself because I had no idea what the hell that meant. You actually mount it in front of an optic or an LPVO or something like that, and then you kind of look through this. We will get to the zeroing of it as a scope or a clip-on in a little bit. So the optic obviously has a few buttons up top. It is pretty easy to navigate the menu because it's only 4 buttons. There's an on and off button, which you're only using that to turn it on and off. Then you have the other 3 buttons, which all have multiple features depending if you do a short press or a long press. So I guess those 3 buttons kind of count as like 6 buttons, if that makes sense. Your thermal viewing window color schemes, you do have 4 different ones. You do have the 2 different predator modes, which I do find a little bit harder to pick out certain things. And then you have your white hot and your black hot. Between the 2 of those, I don't know which one I like better right now. I think I'm favoring white hot, so everything's a little darker, especially when it's dark outside, because obviously not right now. When it's dark out, when you would be using a thermal, it's less jarring when you go from looking through the scope to just looking out with your eyes. With the black hot, everything's really bright on that, so it's kind of a bigger contrast and it takes your eye a second to adjust. So the record button on it, you can do a short press, it'll take a 10-second clip if I remember correctly, or a long press just continues to film until you press it off again. This has 32 gigabytes of storage, so you can get a bunch of video in it. It also records audio, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that's necessary, but it's pretty cool. A couple other things, they do have their own app that you could use on your phone, so you could transfer footage from your thermal over to your phone, or you could also plug your thermal into your computer and transfer it that way. But if you want it directly onto your phone, you can connect. There's a few other features on the app. I haven't messed with it too much, but it's pretty cool, pretty easy to use app. So this has a rechargeable battery. This came with 2. I don't know if when you buy it, it comes with 2, but mine came with 2 for video purposes. It's an 18650 battery. I don't know if you know what that means. I don't really know what that means, but it's a battery, rechargeable, has up to 4 hours of usage per charge. On one of the sheets they actually sent me for the specs, that 4 hours was for one of the other thermals, and it actually said this one was 5.5 hours, but they're stating 4 hours for this. So 4 hours of charge times 2, got an entire nighttime of thermal surveillance, imaging, hunting stuff. So obviously, since you have the electronics, there is the concern of recoil on your gun. So this is actually good up to 50 BMG, can sustain recoil from 50 BMG, which to my understanding is pretty significant. So I don't think you're gonna have any issues with that. I don't wanna torture test this because, like I said, it's going back, so I'm not gonna like throw it or something like that. It feels pretty high quality. This is relatively lightweight. It is 13.7 ounces, so it's under a pound. So it's not adding too much weight to your gun. When you have your AR set up, LPVO, got a suppressor on it, and then another 13 ounces up in front of your LPVO. It does get pretty heavy, but to my understanding, it's not as heavy as it could be. Just keep that in mind. All right, so we are recording right now. Right now we're looking at a steel target that's sitting in the sun. This is the red hot setting. So this is one of the predator modes that looks pretty cool, but yeah, as you can see, you can't see as much detail. Then we are switching over to iron hot. You can see a little bit more detail with it. You can see the ground is a little warmer back there. There's your steel target. Now we're going to switch again. We are now on white hot. And I'm guessing that steel target isn't as hot as I was assuming it was going to be, sitting in the sun for 20 minutes so far. And then we will switch over to black hot, which, as you can see with black hot, you can see a lot more detail. That is because the steel target right now is not super hot, so it kind of stands out a little bit more than everything else. So one thing I did do, I brought a torch with me. So I'm gonna go heat up that plate just so you can see the differences with this. We'll talk about the magnification levels on this in a second, because there's one thing I would like to see on this, but you do have that kind of option on one of the more expensive ones. Let me go heat that plate up quick, then we'll go look at it again. And right now we are in red hot mode. So as you can see, that is white hot. This is one of the Predator modes. And by the way, when I say Predator mode, DNT doesn't call this Predator mode. I'm talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger cinematic masterpiece Predator. And if you know what I'm talking about there, that's the Predator mode. Then we are switching over to Iron Hot. As you can see, still hot right there. Just look around. This is White Hot. As you can see, it is white hot. And then Black Hot, so then you are black. As you can see, there's just some differences on it. Then let's go to my one complaint about this. Let's switch to White Hot right now. My one complaint is the base zoom. So 3x is the base zoom on it. And then we will switch over. Then you have 4.5, 6x, 9x, 12x, which obviously pretty awesome, but 3x I feel is a little too much of a zoom for the base zoom of it. And just for reference from what you were looking at, let's turn the camera around. Obviously, it's not going to look as far in the video, but we're about 20-ish yards. All right, so now that we did kind of just the base operations of it, I am going to mount it onto my rifle. I'm going to shoot a little bit. I'm probably just going to drive up on that hill right over there and shoot down at the target. I don't know how it's going to go because I have not zeroed this thing at all. I've been using it as a handheld exclusively. I had it maybe on the rifle for 20 minutes, and that was just in the house one day, and obviously I'm not going around shooting in the house. I actually took the upper off and I was trying to hold it outside and my arms got tired, so I took it completely off and was just using it as a handheld. So let's go shoot a little. All right, so we are up on the hill. I don't know if we're gonna see where the target is from this angle. It's like there. I would say it's about 75 yards from here. I'm gonna mount the thermal up on this, and then we will do a little bit of shooting. All right, so I have the Hydra mounted up to my AR. This is actually an F1 Firearms AR. I bought this when I was still living in New York, and it had like the lame ass New York, you can't remove the magazine stuff, but we don't live there anymore. How's it going? This is me from the future. As I am editing this video, I realized I kind of did a horrible job explaining this next section with when I'm shooting the gun. So since the clips that you're gonna watch, I had already taken the thermal off of the gun, and now I put it back on because I wanted to actually figure out what was going on with it that I was experiencing when I was shooting. One thing that I did notice is when I put the thermal on the gun out in public land over there for the shooting, I did have the thermal optic mounted way too far back. So the LPVO scope was way into the eye box thing here. So it was giving me trouble seeing what was going on just because of the eye relief. And then after we got back home, I was like, let me try to figure this out. Remounted it, mounted it a little more forward, and it's a lot easier to see what's going on the screen. So that's one of the issues I was having while I was out there. So the other thing I just wanted to explain really quick, again, because I don't think I did a great job, is clip-on mode as opposed to using it as a scope. So if you're using this thing as a scope, just looking through the thermal and that's it. When you need to zero it, you're moving the reticle to where it needs to be to shoot. When you're using it as clip-on mode, it has to go in front of your LPVO or whatever optic. You actually can freeze the screen when you see your impact and move the screen to where you need it to be. You're not zeroing anything else other than moving the screen, because just from all the lenses and stuff, I guess just you're not seeing exactly straight. That's how clip-on mode works. Clip-on mode stays at base magnification, which in this case on this one is 3x. So you're always zoomed in at least 3. Then the other thing that I'm not crazy about is when you want to zoom in yourself with your LPVO, if you want to go up to, in my case, I have up to 6x magnification. To zoom in 6x magnification, you're actually zooming in 6x on the little screen that you're seeing in your thermal. So it kind of gets a little more blown out. You start to see the individual pixels and stuff on your thermal image. I would probably use the thermal as the scope itself and not use it as the clip-on. All right, so we are recording right now. I am going to attempt to shoot that target down there without zeroing it. We are on clip-on mode right now. The way clip-on mode works is when you go to zero it, you actually move the image in the thermal, as opposed to when you zero it as the scope, you're moving the reticle, like a standard scope. The clip-on mode, you're moving the whole screen just so it actually lines up with your optic. Let's try to shoot this. I'm probably gonna miss if I could even find the target, just because we're not zeroed. One of the other features is that they call it the one-shot zeroing, so you could actually freeze the screen and move the image to exactly where you want. The only thing that requires is being extremely steady and seeing where you actually hit. So I don't have a tripod, I don't have a bipod or anything, so it's gonna be moving too much to try that. Let's see if we could find the target here. Let's change this to one of the other modes. Black hot. All right, there we are, right there. I don't know how it works with zooming. There, you're locked in on that, but then when we zoom in with the LPVO, we are nowhere. The blurriness is completely blown out. Just gonna send one anyway. That was way low and to the right. All right, cool. So let's switch this off of this mode. I'm gonna switch it off of clip-on mode. All right, so we are on regular mode now. As you can see, there's our target. We are at 6x, 9x, and 12. Let's just send one round. We were a little low there. Zoom back out. Oh yeah, you get the idea. So my experience with the DNT Optics Hydra HS225, lots of words and letters. This thing's pretty damn cool. I personally do not have a use for something like this. If I had a farm or a ranch or something like that where I needed to keep coyotes out or a wild boar or something like that, then this would definitely be on my radar. As a clip-on, I don't know if I'm crazy about it. It's kind of hard to see through my optic and then see through this. Could just be the bulky ear protection, and then these glasses are a little bit wider than normal. You can mount this mount the opposite way, which then you could put it on your AR and actually mount it back further, and then this could be your only scope. Since AR uppers are not that crazy expensive, it probably wouldn't be a horrible idea to just buy a whole upper, throw this on top of it, and then if you needed nighttime stuff, you could just swap your uppers. This is already zeroed for that upper, and then when you're done, switch back. Or if you're rich like some people, not me, you could just have a whole AR setup dedicated to a thermal. So this thing is relatively well priced compared to other optics. This is only $1,000 as compared to other optics with the same features or similar features are closer to $2,000. So affordability wise, I think this thing is really awesome. This is one of my first experiences with thermals, and it's pretty friggin' cool, to be honest with you. One random side note that I didn't think of, which makes complete sense, is you can't see through windows with this, because this only sees to the glass and it can't see through that. Which, if you're in your car, you can't really look out your windshield, but you could roll down the side windows and look out. Just a random side note that I didn't think, but makes complete sense now. So affordability wise, I would say this thing is pretty damn awesome considering it's only $1,000. Then on DNT's website, they're always running 10% off promotions. So you can get a pretty affordable thermal if you want to get into the thermal game. The only complaint I have with this thing is I would like to see a 1X. I feel like 3X is a little too zoomed in for some cases. Like right now, that steel down there is not that far away. So when you start to get to distances like this, it's not bad, the 3X, but if you're a little bit closer, this is too zoomed in. Like I would not mind seeing a 1X of that steel right there. So then I could actually zoom out a little bit more, but the only thing you can do is zoom in more. So 4.5, 6, 9X, and then 12X, and then you're back to 3. I would like to be able to see a little bit further out just so you could see more of the terrain around it. I don't know if that's actually something for people that use thermals but for me personally, I would like a 1X. So they do sell a more expensive optic. It's the HS225 that has a 1.5X on it, but that optic is $2,500 as opposed to this one being only $1,000. So is that Price difference worth it to me? Definitely not, just for a 1X. But if you need a thermal for certain stuff, maybe spending the extra money would not be a bad idea if you could afford it. This was my experience with the D&T Optics Hydra HS225. Once again, I want to thank D&T Optics for sending this out to me for the channel for review. Like I said, this is going back to them in a little bit, so I don't get to keep it. If you want to support the channel in any way, you can use my links down below. I do have some links to some merch, got some hats, got some t-shirts. You can use the Amazon links down below for some of the stuff seen in the videos, or you can use the links for Sally Optics, which I do have a 10% off code. If you don't trust them or you're not familiar with them, you could also watch the torture test videos I have down below, linked in the description. They're pretty affordable optics that are made even more affordable with the discount code. So if you want to support the channel in any way, use those links. I will see you guys in the next one. Hit that subscribe button if you learned anything, if you liked it, even if you hated it, or leave some comments down below and whatnot. I will see you guys in the next one. Get out there and shoot.